I left Germany in 2018 and it was the best decision ever. But don't get me wrong, I was born and raised in Germany and I'm so thankful for everything that the country offered for my family and me. My family is actually from Poland, and in 1989 when the wall fell, my family escaped communism and they wanted to find a better life in the West. So moving countries is somewhat in my blood system already, and luckily I took advantage of that. Because I also relocated to a new country, it brought me so much joy, health, happiness and success in literally all life areas. Hey everybody, I'm Ricardo Gorski, the founder of Tax.One, where we help individuals and businesses relocate to low-tax jurisdictions, and in this video I'm talking about why I left Germany at the age of 19 and why I think that it is the best decision for you as well. During high school in Germany, I already questioned my life direction a lot. I was never the guy that went to parties, drinks or smokes. I actually spent my teenage years building my first online business because I knew that I either go all in right now or I will end up in a 9-to-5 job, which I never wanted. And so by the time I finished high school, or Abitur as we call it in Germany, I was already making some money online. I had a little service providing business back then with 2 partners of mine, and we wanted to scale the company, so we decided to leave Germany and move to Bali. And little did I know that this will change my life direction forever. And today, many years later after leaving Germany, I have 5 big reasons why you should leave Germany as well. But before we talk about taxes, let's start pretty basic with number 1, and that is the weather. People that live in Central Europe or in northern countries don't realize how much the weather actually influences you simply because they don't know any better. The grey cities, the constant rain and just the general vibe is so melancholic, and this has a direct impact on our mental health. We don't get enough sunlight. People in Germany are literally white, pale, and the lack of warm weather also leads to isolation, because how long is the summer in Germany? 3 months? And those are the times where people actually go out and mingle and socialize. That's definitely not enough for human beings because we are social animals. And during the long winters, the days are sometimes literally just 5 hours short. I remember when I was going to school, I woke up at 6 AM and it was dark outside. Then I went to school, and by the time the school finished, it was literally dark again. Tell me, where is any joy in that? This was literally depressing, especially as a 16-year-old teenager that wants to experience life. Okay, you go on holidays, sure, but why should I be satisfied with a 2-week vacation per year if I can literally just make it my day-to-day life? And as a teenager, I often daydreamed about just moving to another city or another country and just starting all over again. And so I did exactly that. Look at my skin, I'm literally brown and I have no pimples, even though I used to have strong acne back in Germany. I'm in the best shape of my life and I make as much money as never before. I wake up every morning at 6 AM before the sunrise, I drink my coffee, I do my sports, I work on my business, and I just have so much motivation and inspiration on a daily basis here in Cyprus. I feel creative and alive, and the work-life balance is just perfect here compared to what I used to have in Germany. And very interesting, whenever I'm in Germany for 2 weeks to visit friends and family, for example, I just fall back into my old habits. It's so hard to wake up at 6 AM in Germany, and I just generally feel like throughout the whole day. And I can't really describe it, but when you stand on a public street in Germany, you just see the faces of the people going somewhere, rushing, being stressed. And then when you stand on a street here in Cyprus, you just see a Cypriot walking down the street and he's like, yes, us. And exactly that leads to number 2, and that is the mindset in Germany. I'm not saying every German has the wrong mindset, no, but it felt like the people in Germany are generally very closed-minded. And I'm a German myself, so I can say that. I remember the first time I went into a cafe in Bali. It was so beautiful to see so many people working on their MacBooks, reading books, and the conversations that they had was so amazing. Like, they talked about positive things, about their dreams and goals. And then when I compared to Germany, if you go into a cafe there, You hear people just moaning, talking about bad things, what's happening in the news, or how bad their neighbor is. And those are things I didn't want to be associated with. If you visit Germany for a short period of time, you will probably not even realize it. But when you are actually in the society, you experience the jealousy, the negative energy, and the envy people have for literally their friends. Interesting story. I remember doing YouTube back in 2011. Yes, you heard right. I uploaded my first YouTube video in 2011 where no one knew what YouTube is, and I recorded myself dancing. It's a dance called Sea Walk, and I used the camera of my mom, and I used to do the edits on Windows Live Movie Maker on the computer of my dad. And then I uploaded the videos and shared them on Facebook back then. And the people around me, they laughed at me. But I didn't care, luckily, because I continued until today with YouTube. But back then, the people didn't understand it, and they just created this energy around me where they wanted to put me down. But luckily I have the character where I literally don't care, so I continued. But many people will just not become the person they want to be in Germany because of that character trait that I hate so much. Whenever I saw or see someone until today that just wants to be different than the people in the crowd, I encourage them, I try to help them, and I just want to support them as much as possible. Another very interesting story. In 2016, I remember talking to my arts teacher about Bitcoin. Back then the Bitcoin price was 600 euros maybe. I didn't have enough money to invest in it, but I bought like maybe 50 euros of Bitcoin. However, he told me that Bitcoin will be gone in 1 or 2 years, and I would love to talk to him today. But I haven't visited my school in literally years now, and I really don't want to. Anyway, back to the topic. So this is what I mean with Germans being closed-minded, and it's just hard to find like-minded people in Germany, especially if you're an entrepreneur, if you have goals, or if you are on any kind of mission. But yeah, enough about that. Now let's talk about number 3, and that is the living costs. First, I want to start with real estate and property prices, because in Germany, having a house is pretty much a privilege. Most people have an apartment, and even for that, in the major cities, you pay easily, minimum 1,000 euros per month for that. Here in Cyprus, I currently pay 1,100 euros per month. But what do I get for that? I have a 2-story house with a sea view, 10 minutes away from the beach. I do have a parking spot for 2 cars. I have no neighbors, a big green garden, and the house is fully furnished. In Cyprus, it's pretty normal that you rent a furnished apartment, whereas in Germany, it's very, very unlikely. In Cyprus, like 90% of the properties, 95% of the rental properties on the market are literally fully furnished. You can just bring your clothes and literally live here from today. Very interesting for entrepreneurs and business owners are obviously also the office spaces. And I remember in Germany it was just not so easy to find a good office space for a good price. However, in Cyprus, about 2 years ago, I found the perfect office space, something that I always wanted to have, and it was about 1,000 square meters. The windows were very big, it was so bright, and the price per month, the location was an A location, by the way, it was literally next to all amenities, and it cost an astonishing 1,000 euros per month. And so we signed the rental contract with the church, who was the owner of the property, very interesting, and we had a 2 years rental contract. But shortly after that, we got an amazing offer from a co-working company that wanted to expand, and they paid us more than we paid to the church for sub-renting our office spaces, and they also offered us unlimited seats in the co-working space, which I'm using until today. And so we sub-rented it, and I didn't open my office, but I'm still in a co-working space, which is very modern and great to use and much cheaper and more convenient. However, even though this company was paying us a big difference, a big margin on the rent that we were paying to the church, it was still a joke compared to the office prices in Germany. Because in Germany, for a similar office, you would pay at least, at the bare minimum, 5,000 euros per month. Another disadvantage in Germany that comes very close to this one is the high salaries. Or let me rather say relatively high salaries. When I ran my first business in Germany, I solely worked with freelancers from abroad. India, Philippines, Ukraine, you name it. I simply couldn't afford German labor, and I didn't want to, because after working with those people from abroad, I realized how much more dedicated they are, especially video editing. This is a very good example. Until today, I'm working with a Ukrainian who takes about 200 euros flat per video. Unless it's a very complicated video, then I will pay him on top, of course, but in general he charges 200 euros per video. In Germany, this is literally like the hourly rate of a video editor, and editing a video on my main channel takes like 4 or 5 hours, depending on the video. The minimum wage in Germany is something like 14, whereas in Cyprus you can find good labor for much less than 10 euros per hour. But no, I'm not saying that you should underpay the locals or students here in Cyprus, I'm simply highlighting the difference here. Regarding groceries, that's actually quite interesting, because I would say that Germany and Cyprus is quite similar. I don't really look at the prices in the Lidl, for example, and not because I'm something better, but simply because my health is so important to me. And if the bio avocados are 5 euros, I pay the damn 5 euros because I want bio avocados. But it's definitely a fact that inflation is going through the roof, and I'm very worried about the middle class and low wage earners. But sometimes I send pictures to my mom from the Lidl, which is a German franchise, and the prices to the German Lidl is actually quite similar. But what varies a lot is the utility costs. Even though Cyprus is an island, the utility costs for electricity is almost half the price than in Germany. Even though Cyprus has absolutely no factories or nuclear power plants, whatever. The same goes for water and fuel. Anytime I send a picture of the gas prices here in Cyprus, my mother is just like, what? But to not just bash Germany completely and say how bad it is, there is actually one thing that is pretty cheap in Germany. And that is the gym memberships. Like, you find a pretty good gym in Germany for 20 euros per month. Whereas in Cyprus, you easily pay 50 euros for a decent gym. So if you're a gym owner, definitely come to Cyprus, you will have huge demand and a big market. And I will become your customer. Now, the interesting part, and that is number 4, taxes. Everyone knows that taxes are very high in Germany, especially for wealthy individuals, entrepreneurs and businesses. Those are the people that are actually aware about how much taxes they actually pay, because they have to declare it and they send the transaction manually to the tax authorities. But many people, or most people that are employed, they don't even know how much taxes they actually pay, because the only thing they see is their net salary that comes into their bank account every month. First, we have the income tax, which is the Einkommenssteuer in German, and this ranges from 0% to 45% for high income earners, for natural persons. And then for legal entities, we have the Körperschaftssteuer, which is 15%. Then we have the Gewerbesteuer, which ranges from 7 to 17% based on the municipality or city that you live in, or where your business is registered actually. And then of course my favorite part, which is the Solidary surcharge, which is the Solidaritätszuschlag, which is about 5%. And this is an extra charge on top of your tax, which is so funny because instead of saying, okay, the tax is 30% or whatever, Germany says, no, it's 25%, but there's a 5% solidary surcharge, and then we come to 30%. So why not just say it's 30%? Anyway, we are not done yet. There's church tax in Germany, which is an astonishing 9%. And yes, you can leave the church, but then you can't marry. Then Germany has endless social security contributions that I can't even mention all. Endless taxes and fees on real estate and properties, withholding taxes, the capital gains tax on everything is 25%, tax on energy and electricity, licensing and regulatory fees, and as the cherry on top, we have special levies, which are additional contributions to some chambers, funds and communities. A good example for that is the Künstlersozialkasse, which applies to creative freelancers, a fee they have to pay just for them being creative, and also the necessity to have a private health insurance for entrepreneurs, and this is so expensive. And I remember in the beginning this was actually almost killing my business because I had to pay 600 euros for the health insurance, which I never used, by the way. I'm never going to doctors. And then this and that and that and this and that and that and that and that, and I was making maybe 2k from 2 clients, but my fixed costs were 4,000 euros. And as more and more Germans realized what is actually happening in the country, they left Germany. And so Germany realized that as well. And so a few years ago, they implemented the exit tax, but luckily after I left. And yes, I know you can create holding structures or even offshore structures to lower your taxes in Germany, quite a bit at least. But that involves deep expertise and knowledge, and this comes with 1, a lot of costs, and 2, if you're into offshore structures, a lot of risk, because you don't want to end up in jail because you avoided or evaded taxes. And so the only real option that you have as a German is to leave Germany for good and relocate to a new country. And for that, I'm now going to tell you my total taxation that I have here in Cyprus. This is going to be very funny now. Listen. Okay, so in Cyprus, I pay 12.5% in corporate tax on all the profits of my Cyprus limited company, but even that could be lowered down to 2.5% if my business registers an intellectual property. This is called the IP box regime, and I have a separate video explaining that right here. Then, after the corporate tax, I pay myself a dividend in order to receive the money into my private bank account, and there a 2.65% healthcare contribution applies, and that's it. Even the 2.65% is limited to a dividend of 180,000 euros, which means that if I pay myself a dividend of 1 million or more, I still only pay 4,770 euros, which is the equivalent of 180,000 euros in dividend. 10 million in dividend, 100 million in dividend, it doesn't matter. It is for the worldwide dividend income a maximum of 4,770 per tax calendar year, not even per dividend. If that was too fast, I'm sorry. You can just listen to it again, but I say it in literally every video. And so I can say it in my sleep nowadays. Anyway, my point is that that's it. My total taxation is in the worst case scenario 15.15% and in the best case scenario 2.5%. The total taxation 100% legal as you comply with the tax rules and laws from a EU member country, and that is just insane to me. From a tax perspective, there is literally no reason why you would want to scale a business, start a business or exit a business in Germany when you have those benefits here in Cyprus. 0% tax on capital gains, no inheritance tax, no gift tax, no exit tax, no immovable property tax, no tax on gains from foreign exchange transactions, and no tax on interest income. And no, Cyprus is not a lonely island somewhere in the Caribbean or a jungle. Actually, Cyprus has amazing things you can do, amazing places that you can visit. We have amazing nightlife here, lifestyle, culture, great food, and so many great things that I discuss in other videos, so definitely make sure to subscribe. But let's get back to Germany, and now number 5, literally the worst part in my eyes, and that is the bureaucracy. Back in Germany in the beginning, my partners and me, we used to have a Personengesellschaft, which is basically like a partnership, so it's not a limited liability entity. And with that in mind, we always had the fear of causing some trouble and receiving some penalties or legal warnings, because we knew that we are basically liable with our own net worth, which was maybe 5,000 euros back then. And as we were an online business, this happened more often than not. I remember we had like 3 court cases in like 2 years of running a small business. And it was for weird stuff, but still it costed thousands and thousands of euros, which always drained our liquidity. At some point we had enough and we upgraded to a Unternehmergesellschaft, which is like the next level, but still a baby version in terms of entities in Germany. But at least we felt a little bit better and we were limited in our liability, but we did know that this comes with many disadvantages as well. First, everyone could now see our revenue and earnings, as this is totally visible and transparent in Germany. I mean, for us it actually didn't matter because we weren't making millions, but for a millionaire or a multimillionaire, this is actually quite concerning in my eyes, because everyone can look up to how much money you make or not make if you drive a fancy car, for example, and this comes with big safety issues in my opinion, especially in a country like Germany or in a city like Frankfurt where there is so much crime nowadays. And another disadvantage of a UG that we totally underestimated in the beginning is that people don't really take us seriously, because it's like the baby version of a GmbH. Everyone knows, okay, they are not really serious if they don't have a GmbH. And this led to the fact that some people and potential clients didn't see us as authorities in our industry because of the imprint that we have in the invoice address. I know it sounds insane, but it's true. And then when we finally incorporated the GmbH that everyone dreams of, we then realized that it's actually a bureaucratic nightmare. I still remember going to the tax advisor, the Steuerberater, on a weekly basis to add another document, do another signature, answer questions here and there, until we were finally able to open up our bank account, get our VAT number and basically just start operating in the name of the GmbH. But I have to admit though that by then I was already a Cyprus tax resident and I had my own Cyprus limited company, and what I wanted to do for tax reasons is that I wanted to have my Cyprus holding company to own the shares of the German GmbH instead of me as a natural person. And this made things so complicated and expensive. I had to physically go to the German embassy here in Nicosia in Cyprus to apostille some documents and literally pay hundreds of euros for a piece of paper and wait weeks upon weeks. Okay, I agree, that's very individual to my situation, but in general, the setup costs and the ongoing management costs of a GmbH will eat you alive. In order to just incorporate a GmbH, you need a minimum capital investment of 25,000 euros, which is a lot, yeah. But still okay, I get it, because you can use that money for your business expenses, office rent, salary, whatever. However, the ongoing costs for accounting, advisory, etc. can go easily up to 10,000 euros on a yearly basis, which means that you are forced to make as much money as fast as possible. And even though I agree that this is generally a good thing, what if you are a startup and you're just testing waters? And this is why we started with a Personengesellschaft, a partnership, but then we had the other disadvantages. So at some point I was like, what should I do? In Cyprus, on the other hand, you can incorporate a limited liability company which has the same benefits as a GmbH for as little as 1,000 euros. And on top of that, you have so much less taxes and almost no bureaucracy. Literally no one contacts me here in Cyprus, niemand geht mir auf die Nerven. I can just focus on my business. I pay 12.5% in corporate tax, 2.65% on my first 180,000 euros in dividends income, and that's it. This is why I love Cyprus so much, why I talk about it so much, and why I'm so happy that I left Germany. Like, I think you can really feel my passion here, and it's not that I try to pressure you or sell you something. No, it's totally up to you. But I know how much better it can be, so I just want to make you aware of the options that you do have. And if you appreciate that, feel free to subscribe to the channel. As an entrepreneur in Germany, everyone tries to milk you as much as possible. There are basically so many unexpected things and bureaucratic processes that come after you incorporated a GmbH. Such as the amount of legal warnings that you will receive, Mahnungen, die IHK, Industrie- und Handelskammer, die Berufsgenossenschaft, die Künstlersozialkasse, die GEMA, der Rundfunkbeitrag, Berufsverbände, extreme Steuerberatungs-, Buchhaltungs- und Anwaltskosten, die Kirchensteuer, die Schufa. I could continue, but I don't have more fingers, so you get the point by now. And yes, I know those were German words, but I think if you watch this video, you're German. Let me know in the comments if you're German or not. And no, it's not just about the money that you have to pay. Yes, this is annoying, but okay, if I gotta pay money for some things, and it is what it is, it's fine. But it's about the time that you have to invest, about the bureaucracy, the unnecessary bureaucracy, the time that you have to invest in order to deal with those matters. I don't even want to know how high the opportunity costs are, because you could actually work on your business instead of dealing with some things that you don't even care about. So, if you're seriously interested in leaving Germany and relocating to a low-tax jurisdiction, definitely make sure to reach out to us on Tax.One, and if you subscribe to the channel, I will see you in the next video.